All right, so we're in 2023. The trends of this industry are changing rapidly. I'm getting a lot of questions asking me about what do I do? How do I go about things right now? So I'll try to touch on the trends, how you're pricing your stuff, the best way to sell your stuff in 2023, and hopefully we get to the meat and potatoes of what you're looking for. Last year, having a crystal shop, if you actually had a brick and mortar last year, was a really rough go. If you survived and you're coming into 2023, I do see things picking back up for the crystal shops. So I think if you have a physical location, you might want to, if you're in the process of thinking about potentially going, I would hold on just a little bit longer. I do think the market is stabilizing again. I think that your crystal shop should be okay come the next couple of months. So again, if you're in that place and you're wondering, what to do with your shop, or you have a brick and mortar and it's not working the greatest, I would just give it a little bit more time if you can. If you were doing well and you had a rough year last year, I think things are going to restabilize themselves. So I wouldn't be that worried. Etsy for me has always been a big no-no. Doesn't matter what year, what day, what time. I'm not a fan of Etsy. I think that Etsy is probably the worst way to sell your material. Again, people are hell-bent on it because they have success on it. But it's the easiest way into the industry, requires the least amount of effort, but also takes the most from you. And it doesn't really, it's not conducive of a platform that's going to grow and thrust you forward long term. Might be good for the short term. Maybe you have a year or two of success with it, but in the long run, it's not really sustainable. The reason being is that, most of the time you're wanting to have to filter your customers from your social media or whatever it may be to your Etsy page. And then once you bring your customers from your social media to the Etsy page, they can shop your competition, who are literally everywhere. And Etsy will actually start to show, Etsy will show your clients your competitors. So it's something that I usually recommend my clients staying away from altogether. Shopify is a great option, but Shopify does cost a little bit, it's not the cheapest thing in the world, and it's also a little bit difficult to manage. But if you can get yourself into Shopify, not the worst idea. I think that's going to be a big one coming up over the next couple of years. I mean, has been, but I think going forward is going to be really, really good. Also, people who are doing live sales are still going hard. If you're doing lives, continue doing that. It doesn't cost you much to do it, and it seems to be one of the most successful methods. I will say that I do think that people are putting way too much stock and energy and time into TikTok. And I'm not telling you to stop doing that or to not do that, but TikTok is one of those things that really doesn't have much backing it, and it's one of those platforms that tomorrow it could be gone. Where Facebook and Instagram have a little bit more of a solid leg. So I would be focusing, if you're not focusing your time and effort and energy towards Instagram, I would say start doing that a little bit more. If you've been TikTok based, just keep in mind that while I don't think you should stop doing that, I also think you should be doing Instagram and Facebook. Again, some people like it. I personally don't like Facebook so much, but Instagram is solid, especially this year. I think it's going to be going very, very strong. I just came back from Tucson, the 2023 Gem Show. Seems like gem shows are just not the way to go, whether you're a seller or a buyer. Again, that's just my personal opinion. Once you find a wholesale distributor or like somebody like myself, going to gem shows, you're just going because you really want to. For you to say that it's monetarily valuable, I'm sorry, I would disagree. But I think that what I've noticed is the gem show dealers having a really, really hard time at the shows. They're not making great money. And again, it depends on what you consider great money, right? If someone makes $5,000 in a month and they're used to making $3,000 in a month, then that's good money. But that's not what you should be making at a gem show. If you're going to the Tucson Gem Show, setting up for a month at that show, you should be walking away with at least 50 grand in your pocket. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. I've also noticed that after the first weekend in Tucson, it's crickets out there. The prices are really high. Everyone's prices are sky high because they have crazy expenses to be out there, the booth fees and travel expenses, material cost, shipping. The chance of us actually finding something at one of these places is like slim to none. Everything is just so highly priced. How much for the lot?
Give me
30 grand? All of it is crazy. And then at the same time, I see people walking around these gem shows consolidating a whole buttload of material from all these different vendors and all these different people, and they're driving around with it in their car. And then a lot of the times that, clients that I know, they wind up at my warehouse like, hey, can you ship all of this stuff for me? And my answer is always going to be no. I'm not going to be responsible for other people's material. Let's just say you thought you had 10 pieces of something and I ship it and it winds up being 8 pieces. And then, Chris, did you take my 2? I want nothing to do with shipping anybody else's material. If it's my material, of course I ship it from Tucson. But I noticed that a couple of people this year wanted me to do that, and I was adamant in saying no, and seemed like people didn't really like that I was saying no to them. But it's what's best for me and the company. I do still think farmers markets, flea markets, street fairs, things like that, boom, amazing. Your big selling items this year and what you should be investing in is high grade material. Get yourself the good stuff. For me, you can get really good material and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. You know, of course, it's not as cheap as the cheap stuff, but get yourself the expensive stuff. Hold on to stuff. Don't be so quick to, I got to get my money back from the thing. I'm telling you, minerals and gems and crystals, their prices are only going up. I mean, from when I started in the industry in 2012 to now, I mean, we're talking about, you know, when I started really selling stuff 11 years ago, the prices are up like 400, 500% on most of these items. Even the mining costs are up. So again, save your good stuff. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it for you, unless you're just a hobbyist. If you're actually in the industry and trying to actually do something significant with this business, then hold on to the best of the best stuff that you can get your hands onto. You know, come out of your pocket, spend an extra 15, 20% more on material than you normally would to get yourself that really good stuff and hold on to it. And I think that this year we're going to see the industry definitely had a good dip in it last year. And I think we see the industry kind of start to, you know, work its way back up to some sort of stable place. So if you're in that place where you're like, you know, thinking about getting out, or, you know, I'm done, and you really don't want to, give yourself another month, 2 months, 3 months, and see if things don't stabilize for yourself. And I hope that helps, and I hope that I answered everybody's questions.